Good morning, everyone. Leah Dixon from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I am here for my regular Wednesday morning Facebook Live. This week, I'm actually going to be showing you the May. Oh no, I wrote June. Shoot, that's the May paper pumpkin. Hopefully, I did that right my um, on my video description. This is May. I'm a whole month ahead of myself. My goodness. All right, let's try that again. All right, so May paper pumpkin, the best there is. So this is a really awesome masculine paper pumpkin. And then I'm hopefully going to be able to create some alternative cards on the fly for you. I've been a little bit behind in being able to design and stuff because we've been busy in the hospital. My youngest just had his appendix out on Sunday. So yeah, here we go. We're going to get started. So I haven't even had a chance. This arrived and literally he's been sick since it arrived on Friday. And so I haven't even had a chance to take a look at what's going on in here. I'm going to switch over to my desktop though, and we'll get started creating. So we have our stamp set. So every paper pumpkin kit comes with a stamp set. This one is, there's a Happy Father's Day to you. You're the best there is. And with love and admiration to the most amazing person. Oh, I love that. And that could be used for dads, but also for, so many other things. So that is just a wonderful set of sentiments. And then we have, two trees, and I don't know, I guess you could use that as ground or more foliage. I'm not really sure. So yeah, nice little stamp set. We have a Misty Moonlight Stampin' Spot in here. So I'm actually just going to grab my Misty Moonlight ink, and we'll use the full-size ink pad for that. And then we'll pull out the rest of this. So if you are new to paper pumpkins, these are great little kits. They're kind of mystery kits. You don't really know what you're getting. But they are fantastic, and they come with everything you need except for a pair of scissors. So I didn't get a block in mine, a stamping block, but that's because I've ordered paper pumpkins before. If it's your first paper pumpkin, they actually even include a block for you. Now, everything inside that box is wrapped in plastic. And when they first started doing this, it kind of annoyed me until one day I had my paper pumpkin delivered during a massive storm, and the box was mush. And all of my paper pumpkin stuff was totally fine. Ever since then, I'm like, okay, wrap it in plastic. Thank you very much. All right. So when you take that off, you've got your cute little packet here. If you lift it all up, you will find underneath instructions, full color instructions, right down to where to put which adhesive on all of your pieces. So fantastic instructions. I sometimes use them. And then also a little like paper so you can store these. I tend to store mine in little clear sleeves like this. And so they've started this year with, they'll do the 3 paper pumpkins and a coordinating die set. So I will store all 3 in one little baggie. And so then you've got this little image here that shows you what the stamp set was. So I love those and keep those. And so then when you go to put it all away, you just take your stamps, and I just put mine inside the little pocket that's created. And then you can tell if you're missing a stamp from your paper pumpkin kit as well. So that's what that's for. And then I do have the Thanks and Beyond add-on die set. So this coordinates with the April, May, and June paper pumpkins. And so I do have those here, and we'll be using that with our alternatives today. You get your adhesives in your kit. So we've got some dimensionals and some not so mini glue dots. Those are awesome. We have some gorgeous envelopes here, all wood grain on the outside, white on the inside, just beautiful. I'm going to set those off to the side for now. And then you have all the bits that you need to make 3 of each card. Some months it's different. Oh, good morning, Gail. But this month it is 3 of each card. So I'm just going to grab one of those and put the rest away for now. Grab one card base. So this is nice because they give us the color on one side and then a nice white interior to our cards. So if you're not like me and you're going to create these as is, you've got a white inside and don't need a piece of paper to put in there. All right, then we've got all these different labels. And I do love that they actually give you more labels than you need. So we actually have 4 of each of these. Which is fantastic. So I'm just going to pop out 1 of each for right now. But it means that we do have 4 extra, or 1 of each label extra to make alternatives later. Actually, I should set those to the side because I will probably use those. All right, another card base, and this one comes with that pre-printed on it. So that's kind of cool. Fun little background. Some beautiful trees stamped on a stitched circle. Another gorgeous background. Now this is just like the Country Woods Designer Series paper. So if you have that and wanted to make more cards, you've got this readily available. All right. Oh, that label's already popped out for me. There we go. One of those. And actually, I'm just going to keep that whole sheet because we're going to need all of those. And then we're at the bottom, the cardboard base. So that tells me we're done. Okay, so with all of the pieces we've got, you can either just look at these, decide if you want to make them the way they've made them, do your own thing, whatever. I'm going to make all 3 cards first, and then we'll work on some alternatives. So the first card, they've actually got us using this blue base with that and the little label and the blue one of these. So I'm going to pop that out. Okay, come on. There we go. The blue one of those. So they show you all the pieces that you're going to need for each card. So it's really easy to grab what you're going to need. Sorry, I've got a little glare on my table, so I'm just going to kind of keep it covered up with a piece of paper so it doesn't bother you. Now, they do say that we are going to attach this piece with dimensionals directly to our card front, but it drives me crazy. I can't do it. I can't waste this gorgeous paper as the backside of a card. I just can't. So I always end up trimming mine down and mounting mine onto cardstock. If you don't have cardstock at home to be able to do that, then by all means, fold your card and go for it. Just start building your card on our beautiful blue wooden front here. And then you'll have a beautiful white inside on your card and a fancy back to your card. I can't though. I like to use the extra pieces for alternative cards, and it kind of kills me. So I am going to trim this down to 5 1/8. I really don't want to take much off of this one. And 5 3/8. So we're very barely taking anything off. And then let's see, we're going to take a look and decide what color background we would prefer to put this on. So I can put this onto a blue background and have just the slightest little border and we could barely see it. That might be the best option. Or I've got some basic beige here. That makes it pop a little too much. Or we've got a tiny little early espresso border. I don't like that either. So we're going to go with Misty Moonlight as our card base. it's going to be the least obtrusive. So here we go. So I've got a Misty Moonlight card base, and then I will put a white insert inside that just so that we have a nice spot to color, or not color, to write in our card. I might also do a little bit of stamping in there because these trees are gorgeous. So to get started, I'm going to take that card front that I cut up, and I am going to do this. Now, you'll be able to actually make a second one of these because you have the extra label and you have the extra piece if you've cut down your card like I have. There we go. You'll just have to create your own little like background imagery for this, which maybe I will show you guys that as one of our alternatives. So now this piece, they've said to put dimensionals on the back of it. I'm not going to dive into my dimensionals that they gave me because I have a pack right now that I'm already working on. So, and they even show you like where to put your dimensionals. It's kind of funny. So just like that, one in each corner and then two on the sides to kind of keep it supported. And we're going to put that kind of, well, not kind of, as centered as you can. This is not my forte, but I'll stand up and I'll do my best. All right. So as centered as I can, I'm going to put that onto my card front. There we go. All right. It's coming along. Now, the next thing to do is to find, there it is. Find the little label, take a look at it, find which way the stitching goes, and we are going to stamp our sentiment onto here. So they have recommended You're the Best There Is, and let's see. It's probably the best one because it's the only one that truly fits in that shape. So we're going to follow their instructions. All right, so we're going to put that on a block. Now, this has never been used before. There's a few ways that you can kind of prime your stamp set. My personal favorite is to ink it up with Versamark and stamp it a few times with Versamark. Now, if you do not have Versamark, you're a new stamper, this isn't in your toolkit yet, then I would take like a stamp cleaner and just clean the stamp. It's just going to make sure that you end up with a good image. Sometimes there's like a film or something on these, and so then they don't stamp as nicely as they should when they're brand new. All right, and then I always do a little test just to make sure that it's stamping the way I want it to. All right. There we go. And then we've got that stamped. Gorgeous. All right. So Versamark is one of those things that doesn't come with your kit. It's an ink that I highly recommend, though. It's like a clear ink, so you can use it on any colored cardstock, and it'll look like you stamped color on color. You use it for embossing and so many other things. The other item that I recommend having, if you're a new stamper, mine is horribly dirty. Maybe I have a slightly cleaner one. Oh, slightly cleaner. Is a Simply chamois. So it doesn't come in this case. This is just one of our DVD cases. And then it's just a purple chamois that you use for cleaning. So you just get it wet and you just stamp your stamps on there to clean them off. So no chemicals or anything for our cleaning. I love it. Okay, so then they recommend taking this and we're going to put them together. Now, is there, oh yeah, there is a right way and a wrong way. One side's white, one side's blue. So that'll be easy to figure out how to attach this. So they want us to attach this to the card front. Now you want to attach it so that it's staying on the card, obviously, right? And we're going to use these little glue dots. Now they've recommended using 2 of them on the back of this. I'm going to do one over by those sleeves. one over by those leaves. Now I use my fingernails. If you don't have fingernails, or if you've got those gorgeous painted fingernails, whoops, a take your pick tool is a handy thing to have for lifting them off of that sheet. And then also for lifting, there we go, for lifting the backings off so that this will stick. There we go. Totally not necessary though. You could use your fingernail, you could use a toothpick, lots of options. All right, so I've put that on there so it kind of goes off the edges but stays on my card. And then they recommend putting this on with dimensionals and using 3 of them. So one up there, one over there, and one down here. There we go. Just like that. And when you put this one on, we are going to go right up to the top edge of that brown piece and attach it like that so it covers up that circle where we attached our greenery. Now let's see. The final thing that they recommend doing is stamping some trees onto our envelope. I'm actually also going to stamp some trees onto our white insert. So I'm going to grab a block. This is a standard paper pumpkin block that I've just grabbed. And I'm going to peel that back. Put that on. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing with this, just to kind of ink it up first with our Versamark. And stamp that off a few times. Okay, so you could also use your Simply Chamois and clean it that way. Or I know some people like will rub them on their jeans or whatever. All right, now just like that. And I'm going to do a test run. Perfect. Okay, and I'm going to put those over on the left side. All right. Now I'm using a glass mat to stamp. If you don't have a glass mat, I do recommend you put something underneath where you're stamping a piece of foam, like the kids' play foam, or like the Pierce mat, something that's going to have a little bit of give so that you get a full solid image, because you wouldn't imagine how warped a tabletop could be until you tried to stamp on it. I used to stamp on my kitchen table, and it was a wooden table, and you could find all the little imperfections in the table. All right, now I don't always stamp my envelopes because I usually like to repurpose them, but I do know that I'm going to be using this as a Father's Day card for my father-in-law, so I will give him a fancy envelope. There we go. I'll stamp those trees onto the envelope as well. And that is, oh, well, actually, that's our first card almost complete. I'm just going to glue this insert into our card. Oh, come on. There we go. So I like to use liquid glue. If you're working with the kit and you don't have any liquid glue, then I would use the mini glue dots for this. They often give us way more glue dots than we need. So doing a glue dot in each corner to attach this to the inside would work totally fine. There we go. And that is our first card from the kit complete. So they're just absolutely beautiful, simple cards. This is what I love about paper pumpkins. Is just so simple and yet really beautiful. All right, our second card. Okay, our second card uses this piece here. Now it's a little bit plainer. I could just use this as is, but I'm actually going to cut this one down as well. I just find these aren't always as strong as I'd like them to be. So I am going to trim that down. Again, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, like really hardly taking anything off. And for this one, I am actually going to mount it onto a piece of crumb cake. This is 11 by 4 1/4, and I've scored it at 5 1/2. I don't like having the top fold on my cards. I like having the side fold. Another reason why I cut down that card, because I don't want a sideways card with a top fold. So we're going to do that, and I'm just going to glue that straight down. And then we'll glue a white insert as well. Okay. Come on. I'm almost out of glue in this bottle. I might have to replace it before we're done these cards. Thanks. Okay. So, tiniest border. The reason I'm doing a super tiny border on these is because we have another layer that we're putting on top. So often when I cut these down, I'll give a more generous border and cut it to 5 1/4 by 4. But because we're putting another layer on, I really want this to be a minimal border. All right, now they've got this piece going on. Now they are recommending that we use the mini glue dots to attach this. Because I have my liquid glue, I'm going to use liquid glue instead. If you don't, then the mini glue dots work very well. All right, there we go. Now, the direction of this V doesn't really matter, but I kind of like that it's pointing towards the opening of the card. So I'm going to put mine on so that it does that. All right, there we go. Now, with that done, we have our pre-stamped image here. Now, I love this image because I'm going to be able to recreate this for lots of other cards. I'm going to be able to take our tree image and stamp it in early espresso onto our envelopes. So this is where I often repurpose our envelopes. Is this envelope, I can open it up, stamp the image, and then use a circle punch or a die to cut it out and be able to recreate this for so many different things. So I absolutely love that. So this is going to go on with dimensionals. Where's my pack of dimensionals? Now my dimensionals, I've used up all the actual dimensionals. I just continue to use up all my bits. So I'm going to cut up my edge now and use all the edging on here to do this. You're still waiting for delivery on yours. Oh no, Gail. Yeah, mine arrived last week, but I couldn't get to it until today. Too much going on. And yeah, if your kit hasn't arrived, well, maybe you were part of the second billing cycle. If you were part of the first billing cycle and your kit hasn't arrived, I would contact Stampin' Up! Because I do know that there was some glitches this month around billing and shipping and stuff. So I would contact them and let them know if you were part of the first billing cycle and you haven't received yours. All right, so then I'm going to put this down like that. Try and make it so like the bottoms of those trees are upright. And then we're going to need this little piece and this little label. Ooh, this might actually end up being my Father's Day card. All right, so this one, the only sentiment in the kit that really fits there is the Happy Father's Day to you. Now, you guys, the cool thing about this as well is if you're building up your supplies and everything, and you don't want a Father's Day card. Oh, you did. Oh, so you do know where it is. Oh, good. I'm glad. So if you don't want a Father's Day card and you do have some other stamps, just grab like a happy birthday or a thank you or a thinking of you or whatever it is you'd like and use a different sentiment on this card. Don't feel like you have to stick to what they've given you in your paper pumpkin kit, especially if you happen to have other stamps. If you're brand new to stamping and this is all you've got, then yeah, I guess you're making a Father's Day card or handwriting a sentiment. But if you've got any other stamps, go ahead and mix it up. All right. So I'm going to stamp my Happy Father's Day to you on there. There we go. Just like that. And then they show that we're actually going to ink the edges of this with our little spot. So this actually is easier to do with a spot than it is with a big ink pad, but I'll make it work. So normally you'd bring the ink pad to the paper. I'm going to bring the paper to the ink pad since all I have is a big ink pad. And you're just kind of rubbing the edges to get them dark. And it's not going to be perfectly even. There's going to be spots that are splotchier than others, and that's kind of the joy of it. It's like that rustic look. So there's really no right or wrong way to do this. You just want that to kind of stand out from the background, kind of like these all have a darker edge to them. You want this to have a darker edge to it. Okay. If you have other tools, you could also use like a blending brush to add that color. Lots of ways to do it. Okay. So then, let's see, put that off to the side. They are saying that we should, use, so if it's going to go this way, flip it over. We should use a glue dot on the end that's going to overlap, and then 2 dimensionals for the rest of it. That way, when we put it down, this will still be popped up, but this one won't be extra popped up. It'll just be on top of the thing that's already popped up. Okay, and for our Happy Father's Day, they have us using just mini glue dots at the bottom because it's going on to something that's already popped up. Now, because I am cutting up my edging and I kind of want it to really definitely not fall down, I am going to just grab a little piece here. So this is about a half of a dimensional, and I'm going to put that there. So that corner will stay popped up. All right, so just like that, it's going to go down onto our card. So I'm going to put these 2 together first before I put them onto my card. That way I can make sure to line them up how I want. So I've just peeled the backings off of the 3 glue dots, but not off of the dimensional yet. And I'm going to line that up so it's centered and has a nice border on the bottom. Okay. Now, with that like that, I'm going to take all my other backings off my dimensionals and my little mini glue dot over there. Do that. And then I'm going to decide where I want this. Now they have it quite low on the tree. I am going to do mine right about there. All right. And there you have it. That is our second card all finished. Now, this is light enough. I don't have to put an insert, but I am going to. So I'm going to pop one of those in. Now, if you only have your blue ink, just use your blue ink. I have other inks, so I am actually going to use an early espresso ink to stamp these trees on the inside because I can. So I'm going to do that stamping before I glue this in, because if I mess it up, then I can flip it over. All right. There we go. Oh, those look good. Oh, sorry, I'm off the screen. So got those stamped in there. And we do have that other sentiment about being grateful for an amazing person. I might end up stamping that on the inside of this card just because I think it's a nice sentiment, and then Noah won't have to think of something nice to write inside the card for his dad. He can just sign his name. Because Noah always ends up writing weird things. So there we go. There's our second card. I love these. They are so beautiful, and I can't actually wait to make this one again and make it into a birthday card and do other things. It's such a great masculine card. That one's fabulous. All right. Now our final card. And this is where we get the with love and admiration to the most amazing person. Excellent. All right. We are going to... I still don't know what this one's for. They haven't shown us using it on any of our cards. Very interesting. I don't know. So let's see, is that block big enough? Oh, just. Okay. Oh, maybe not. We'll see. All right. So before I forget, I am just going to ink that up with Versamark as well. Just make sure it gets really primed as well. There we go. All right. Now we're going to use our last two pieces here. We're going to use this card base, and we're going to use this label. So that's all of our pieces. First thing we're going to do is stamp our sentiment onto this label. I got my Misty Moonlight again. And this goes right into the middle of this. Hopefully that was straight. Oh, there we go. Good. All right. So that's our only stamping on this card. We're going to be able to stamp on the inside if we want and on the envelope, but that's all that we're actually doing for this one. Now, they've got us doing it again, wasting that gorgeous background. So I'm going to trim this down, just like I did the others, at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And I'm going to mount this one onto Early Espresso. Now this time when I trim it down, because we've got that image that we want to keep centered, I'm going to trim just the tiniest bit off of each side and off of the top and the bottom as I do this. So although I'm only taking 1/8 of an inch off, I'm going to take it off in 2 chunks. So it's 1/16 of an inch off each side. So it's a lot more cutting, but it's worth it. All right, now this piece, we will put it on just like that. Now, actually, you know what? I think I am going to trim this down even just a little bit more. I might take it all the way down to 4 inches like I often do. Yeah. And down to 4 by 5 1/4. There we go. All right. So that one does go all the way down to 4 by 5 1/4, and then I'm going to glue that onto my Early Espresso base. And I will glue a basic white layer to the inside as well, because of course this is very dark and would be very hard to write inside of. So that is the advantage to just using the card bases as they come, is that you always have the white inside. You don't need to glue a piece of white in them. There we go. Oh, wow, that's crooked. And this is why I use liquid glue. There we go. All right. So we've got that done. I'll grab my white base. You could totally stamp trees on the inside of this if you wanted to, but I'm actually not going to for this one. It doesn't have any trees on the front of it. It just has foliage, so I am going to just skip that. Okay. There we go. So glue in our white insert. There we go. And now we're ready to start designing our front. So the first thing that they've got us doing is taking the last two pieces of foliage here, Wild Wheat and Pool Party, and we're going to attach those with some glue dots in the center. There we go. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. All right. So you can do this either way. Like, doesn't matter which one goes on top of which. But what we are going to do is 2 glue dots onto the back of each. They show putting the Pool Party one down first. So that is what I will do. Here we go. And when you put this down, you want it to just kind of go beside these markings, okay? And stay on the card front, obviously. And then our Wild Wheat one has a bit more of a curve to it, so it's not exactly the same shape. So when we put this one down, it's going to kind of curve like that out on both sides. Now, it doesn't matter that they're not like perfectly lined up and everything, because this is going to go onto our card front with dimensionals and cover it all up. Oh, they're there. So again, I'm still just using scraps from the edges of my dimensionals. You can use up the whole thing. And they said to do 4, so that's what I've done. And then this just requires a little bit of lining up to get it inside the frame that's printed right on the card front. All right, so just like that. There we go. And that is our 3rd card created. So your kit comes with the supplies to make 3 of each of these cards. We're going to have a little bit of fun though and create some completely different cards. All right, so I'm going to put those off to the side and we are going to get started. So in the end, we do have some extra pieces. Even if I made all of my cards, I would have these 3 labels left over. And if you're like me and you've done the trimming of your card bases, you're also going to have 3 pieces of designer series paper left over, basically. So we do have a few things, plus we have our stamp set. So let's see what we can create using this. I think the first thing we're going to do is make a little fun fold card. If I can find, thought I had an extra piece. Ah, there it is. Okay, so I've got a piece of Misty Moonlight, and we're going to grab this designer series paper as well. And what we're going to do is make a little fun fold. This is one of my favorite ones. So if you have a simply scored board, then that is definitely what I would recommend using. If you don't though, and all you have is a paper trimmer, that works as well. we are going to take, I'll show you with my paper trimmer, we're going to take our cardstock and put the long edge across the top. And we're going to use our scoring blade, so not the cutting one. We're going to use our scoring blade, and we're going to score at 2 inches. And then at 3 1/8. And then you can either flip it around and do that same measurement again, just on the other side, or you can, oh wow, those aren't very scored. I'm so like nervous using this one because I'm so used to my Simply Scored. I don't want to break through here, but apparently I did not press hard enough to score that. So 2 inches, that's better, and 3 1/8. There we go. And then you can score again at 5 3/8 and 6 1/2, or you can simply turn this around and score again at 2 and 3 1/8. Which is what I prefer to do when I've got limited space like this, because then I don't have to open up the arm on my board. All right. So with that scored, we're going to come in and we're going to fold that way. We're going to fold that the other way. And then we're going to fold that way. And we're going to fold that the other way. Okay. So we end up with this kind of fun fold here, just like that. And so our card will actually stand like that, and it'll fit into our envelope when we tuck it all in, just like that. Okay, so that is the first step to this card. Now I want to make this a little bit more interesting, so I'm going to take this extra piece, this backing I had, and I'm going to cut this down to 1 3/4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces just like that. So I'm just going to do that over on my paper trimmer. So 5 1/4 is your height, and then 1 3/4 for your 2 strips. And we're still left with a little 1/2 inch strip of, actually 3/4 of an inch strip. Ooh, nice. That we'll be able to use on another card. So don't get rid of that little piece. We've still got that. All right, we're going to take these 2 pieces and we're going to glue them onto here, just like that, so that we've kind of got a DSP background. So you can use your mini glue dots or your liquid glue and attach those to our card. So that's our first step. All right, let's see if I've got some glue that works here. Yikes. Oh, my glues seem to be running out. Okay. All right, I might switch over to some other adhesive. I don't think I have any other glues here at my desk. So we just glue these down with a nice little equal border, just like that. And this one. So this is my favorite part of a paper pumpkin. I do like paper pumpkins, like when I'm traveling or if I go up and visit my parents. It's so great to be able to take some crafting with me. That's super simple, and like I can even get my mom to join in, and I love having that ease of like quick to go projects. But when I'm at home and working on paper pumpkins, my favorite part is using all my extra supplies and really getting creative with this. So now we do have all these extra labels, but I feel like, well, maybe we'll end up using one of them. I feel like I want to use my envelopes though and put something on here. So I'm going to find an envelope that I didn't stamp. There we go. So I'm going to grab an envelope here. You can cut these open or just kind of pull at them to tear them open so that you've got a lot of wood grain here to work with. We're really only losing these two little flaps, and we've got a lot of wood grain to play with now. Now, you've got a few options. I think I'm going to keep this simple and not bother using dies, although if I was using dies, I would probably grab my stylish shapes. I'm going to keep this super simple though. I think that our 2 3/8 inch circle will be big enough. Oh, it is. It's big enough for our trees. So I'm just going to come in here with a circle punch. And, oh, seriously? Oh. And I got too close to where I'd torn the paper, and thin paper doesn't always punch very nicely. So I'm going to have to fix that up with a pair of paper snips because it didn't punch as nicely as I wanted it to. All right, so where did my paper snips go? There we go. All right, so just trim that up. There we go. Yeah, you got to be careful of that. I should have pushed that in just a little bit further so that I didn't have that problem. All right, so now that I've got that punched out, I'm going to take my little trees. Now, you would have only had your blue ink in your kit, so we're going to assume that that's what you've got. So we're going to stamp with some blue ink. If you do have brown, go ahead and use Early Espresso. And we're going to stamp some trees onto our circle, just like that. And then, oh, I wonder, well, that doesn't look as nice as I would like it to look. I think it does really need the brown. All right, we're going to do one more circle punch, and hopefully this time I can actually punch it nicely. And we are going to use the Early Espresso. I just don't like it as much in the blue. So, all right, let's try this again and try not to mess up the punch this time. Okay, all the way in. There we go. Oh my. There, much better. Okay. So that's stamped or punched nicer, and now I'm going to stamp it in Early Espresso. So if you have other paper pumpkin kits, you probably have an Early Espresso ink, and that is what I would recommend using. All right, there we go. Oh, much better. Okay, much happier with that. All right, so we're going to take that. Now, I feel like this is a little bit boring on there, like we need something going on in the background of this. So I think what we're going to do, where did those other bits go? I had extra bits. Ah, they're there. I'm wondering if that'll be too plain. Okay. And will that be too dark? That'll be too dark. Okay, so we are going to, I don't normally do this, but I think we're going to use one of the backgrounds from one of our other cards. And so I just won't be able to make 3 of that card. Now, the other option you have is if you have the Country Woods Designer Series paper, you could go ahead and grab that and use that on here. So I'm going to take this background piece and I'm actually going to cut it. I'm going to cut it down to 2 inches and glue that onto the front. Okay. So just like that. And we're going to glue that to the front of our card. So like I said, if you've got the Country Woods, you could definitely grab that Designer Series paper and use it for this. But if all you've got is your paper pumpkin kit, then this is what we're doing. All right. And grab my glue stick, do that. Okay. And so you want to center this top to bottom. It's not quite the 5 1/4 that I would have liked it to have been, but that's okay. As long as we center it, it will look just fine. All right. So we've got that. Now this piece will eventually go on, but first of all, I want to get our sentiment to put on here. And so I think we're going to use this little guy. So this is the one that works so well with the Happy Father's Day. And so we can go ahead and stamp the Happy Father's Day on there, and then we'll figure out how to attach that. I think maybe doing them like that. Maybe not. Oh, I'm not sure now. You know what? Just like that. And I normally use like a smaller sentiment when I'm doing this. Happy Father's Day. You know what? I think that's what we're going to do. I'm actually not going to use that. I'm going to use just a small piece of basic white. So if you've got just like any trimmed strips or whatever, and we're actually just going to do the Happy Father's Day part, not the to you. So there's a few ways you can do this. You can ink up your sentiment and then mask off the words you don't want. We can ink up the whole thing and then just cut off the words we don't want. Lots and lots of choices. I'm going to clean this and just ink up the words I want. To me, that's the fastest, easiest way. And because these are such straight lines that don't overlap, it's very easy to do. So I'm going to take my ink, and when I put it down, I'm just going to make sure that I don't put any ink on the words to you. There we go. So I've got my Happy Father's Day inked. And just like that. So Happy Father's Day. And then I am going to use my paper snips just to trim up those ends. And I'm just going to do them on a little bit of an angle. Just like that. Like that. So now we've kind of got a smaller sentiment to go on our card front, and it's not going to take up so much space and be so in your face. All right, so to attach this, I'm going to use dimensionals on the back. Now I do this a little bit of a cheater way. So I do one at the top. I need to cut up some more of these. And I do one at the bottom. But then instead of trying to figure out where to put these on the sides, I actually come in and just put these down so that I know they'll be covered. And then I peel off those, and I peel off these. And I attach that to my card front. There we go. And then my little Happy Father's Day, I'm going to have it go on here, but kind of pop off. Oops, I can't have it pop off that far. You have to close your card when you're doing this so that it doesn't go off too far. I'm going to have mine just like that. So I'm just going to use mini glue dots, but only on the left edge of this. I don't want to go all the way across because otherwise they'll go off my card. So grab that and that. Close my card so that this stays on it for sure. And just like that. And there we have it. We have our first alternative card completed using pretty much all stuff from our kit, just a little extra scrap of white and some early espresso. Now you could have, I just didn't like how my circle was and like all the things were going wrong with it. You could have done the blue trees and that would work too if you don't have the brown ink. All right, so that is our first alternative card. Now I wanted to show you guys an alternative card using the dies that we have as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this piece of brown. So we don't have like all the foliage and everything to recreate that card. They just gave us enough in our kit to do one set of 3. But that doesn't mean that we can't have some fun with this. So I'm going to trim this down first of all to 4 by 5 1/4. And it's a quick trim down because we actually like there's no pattern or anything on this side. I'm going to move this ink so I can get back up into the screen for you guys. I keep falling off the bottom here. All right, so we've got that done. So then if we have these dies, I'm assuming if you have the dies, you bought them because you have some kind of Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, a mini or whatever. Now this is 4 inches across, so it won't fit in our mini. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go over to my big machine. I'm not going to bring it over here. And I'm going to cut this one out right out of the center like that. All right, so grab your machine and give that a roll through. Okay. Just like that. Okay. Now you're going to want to keep this piece. It's too cute to get rid of. So we're going to use that on another card later. Okay. So we've got that die cut. And then I'm going to grab, actually, I was going to grab a piece of basic beige, but maybe we could do this sideways. No, we're not going to do that. I'm going to go with my original idea. All right. So I don't want to put this onto a piece of, oh, that doesn't have a score line in it. There we go. That one does. I'm not going to put this onto a piece of early espresso because then we really can't see that image. Like the image won't come through for us. So we're going to do this and put this onto a piece of basic beige. But before we do, we're going to do some stamping. So again, I personally think that I would like to stamp in early espresso, not in blue. And we're going to do some trees here in the background. So I'm going to grab my trees, my early espresso ink, and so I'm kind of going to line that up, see where it needs to be, and then I'm going to move my paper away, and I'm going to stamp. All right, so there are my trees stamped onto basically the center, and when I put this over top, they are going to show through that little space. Okay, now you can attach this however you'd like, mini glue dots, dimensionals, whatever. I am going to use dimensionals. And I'm going to use quite a few of them because I want to make sure that my edging around that opening stays lifted as well. Like I don't want that to start to sag. So I'm going to do my corners as well as those edges. Okay. Just like that. And this is where like these borders come in so handy. And like that. And I just need to grab, whoops. We'll just grab a mini dimensional for that corner. There we go. All right. So we've got all that done. I'm going to peel these off and attach this to my card front, and then we'll get busy doing some other stuff. So the joy of masculine cards is like I'm always tempted to like add a ribbon, add an embellishment, like add all sorts of things. With the masculine cards, we totally don't need to. Simpler is better. So don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Just really keep it basic. All right. So we've got that. And then let's see. Oh, actually, do I want to do that or do I want to? No, that green goes through. Oh, actually. Oh, look at that. So what I'm going to do is, you know, that little piece that I said don't get rid of? I'm going to add it on here as an extra little strip across the front of this, just as like a little accent. I really like how that blue looks on the brown. And so I'm just going to, you could use mini glue dots, or I'm going to use some liquid glue to attach that. And it's just going to be a nice little accent. Now I'm keeping an equal border between my opening and the edge. And we're going to attach that. So it's just a little dash of color onto a card that otherwise doesn't have a lot of color. And then we can go ahead and grab that banner that we had before. Actually, do I want that? I don't know. I don't think I actually like that. Nope, I don't like that. All right. So then we could go ahead and use the thanks from our add-on die kit as well. And we can just do that in, let's see, what color do I want to do it in? I think I'm actually going to die cut it twice. I'm going to die cut it once in white and once in blue, and we're going to layer them together. So I'm just going to run over to my machine, cut this out in Misty Moonlight and in white. So this one will actually fit into the mini, which is nice. And I love that it die cuts as one whole word. You don't have to nitpick with like all the individual letters and everything. They're all attached as one. Okay, there we go. Okay. So I've got my two thanks die cut now. We're using that awesome little die cut from our add-on kit. Now when I go to put these together, I'm going to glue them together just slightly off so that there's just the tiniest little white accent behind our thanks. Now you can choose to do it as a top accent or a bottom accent. It's totally up to you which way you want to do that. I'm going to do mine as a bottom. So you could use your mini glue dots for this. I find using liquid glue for this easier because you can kind of slide it around. Now, I say that, but it's always easier if you actually have glue in your bottle. So I'm just putting the tiniest bit of liquid glue on the back of my blue because I want my blue to be my front color. And then I'm actually going to grab my tweezers. So these are reverse tweezers that come in the embossing additions kit. And there we go. So I'm just looking at the bottom. I want to make sure that I don't go up so high that the space between the N and the K is visible at the base. Now I am getting some glue onto my glass mat. That's okay. That's actually one of the joys of the glass mat, is that it won't be an issue. That will just wipe up really nicely. All right, now with that done, I'm actually going to put that on with dimensionals. So if you only have the dimensionals from your kit, then go ahead and cut them up. Grab some scissors and have at her. I, however, have my mini dimensionals. And so I'm going to use those on the back because they are, oh, actually, they're not tiny enough. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm not going to use mini dimensionals. I'm going to do what I told you guys to do, which is to cut up your regular dimensionals because it's not good enough. So now, if you look around the edge here, we've actually got quite a thick border on the ones that come in our kit. So what you can actually do, this actually works really well for lettering, is cut a strip. So you end up with a straight piece of dimensional, and then that is thin enough to go in there. And so I'm just going to cut a piece. Oops, I let it go flying across my room. I'm going to cut a piece to go onto my T. Oh, I cut that a little too long. Oh no. No. Okay, I'm going to put it onto my H instead because I cut it too long for my T. All right, now when I put this down, my H is going to be there and my S is another safe spot. So I'm going to do a tinier piece for my S. And then the rest of it's just going to kind of float. All right, so just attaching that from the two ends. There we go. And I'm going to do that right across the bottom, like that. I think I do want it centered. There we go. And so that attaches quite nicely. And there we have our second alternative card. And that was created using the add-on dies The Thanks and Beyond. I did put the number for these in the description of the video, but it's 164397. You do need to be a Paper Pumpkin subscriber to get these dies. But that's quick and easy to do. Just subscribe to Paper Pumpkin. All right, we will do one last alternative because I do have some fun pieces left here from bits that we cut up and this piece that we cut out of the last card. So let's see here. I think we might go ahead and use, so this is the back of that other card that we had. So one final backing. Now this I know is not quite 5 1/4, so I'm just going to see how big it actually is. Okay, it is just 5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to trim this down a little bit smaller than normal. I'm going to trim it down to 5 inches by 3 3/4. 5 by 3 3/4. There we go. And then we've got this little piece here that's going to go on there nicely. That little piece that will go on there nicely. So now we just need to decide on a background and a sentiment for this. So let's see what I have lying around. I almost feel like I want to go grab a pool party, but I think we're going to go with a darker base. Keep it kind of more, that might be too dark actually. Okay, let's see. I don't have an actual blue here, but no, blue isn't the right color either. Okay, what about, actually, let's see a white base. So sometimes this is what card making is. It's like a lot of trial and error and check this, check that, see this, see that. Okay, I actually kind of like that on the white. because it brings out some of the white in there, and because I was planning to either do white embossed or white die cut sentiment on here, that's going to work out really nicely. Okay, so we've got this going on. I am going to grab my trees and I'm going to stamp them onto this piece that we cut out. And stamp them down low, just like that. There we go. So we've got our 2 trees stamped on there. And then we're going to, oh, thank you so much, Gail. We're going to actually glue that all the way over to the edge. We're not even going to leave a border. That's really unusual for me. All right, I think what I'm going to do then is I'm going to border up the whole thing. All right, so I'm going to glue that right to the edge, and then I'm actually going to go grab another layer and make a little border on this. All right, oh, come on. Come on, glue. Last card, I promise. All right. So we're going to glue that right to the edge. And then this cardstock piece that I used was 5 by 3 3/4. I'm going to go cut a early espresso piece that is just 1/8 of an inch bigger. So instead of 3 3/4, we're going to go 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And so that's just going to be, when we layer these up, it's just going to be a tiny little early espresso border on there. Oh yeah, that works well. And then I might not even go with white. I might go with basic beige. Yeah, I actually think it's nicer on basic beige. So sorry, white, you're out. We're going to go put a score line in our basic beige. And we're going to glue all these. Well, actually, I'm going to glue these 2 layers together and then dimensional that one. Let's see if I have enough glue in here to get this going. All right. It might work. All right. And that's my last little bit of gluing, I think. We'll use dimensionals for the rest. So there we go. Now I do like the liquid glue because I can wiggle that around until it's nice and straight. So we've got that. And then this is going to go onto my card front with dimensionals that I put somewhere. There they are. All right. And so this is a fairly large piece, so I'm going to do the 6 like we did on that first card. There we go. And peel those off. I'm going to stand up to line that up. And then, now I was thinking that we were going to add like a big bold sentiment with that, but it's really not working with what I've got going on this card now. So let's see what we can do here. It might work best to go with just this extra label that we had. But now where to put it? Over there? Seems kind of tiny. I think that would be the wrong way. Well, now I'm not sure what to do for my sentiment. Maybe keep it small and simple, just like that. Just do that Happy Father's Day one on there. That might be the trick. That might be it. Now, the other option we have, oh yes, look at that, is I kind of wanted to do some embossing and have the darker label, but this is seeming too big. This is the same size, so if I line up those points, I can then either use my paper trimmer or paper snips and snip this down so it's the same size as that smaller label. That's a nice fit for me. So that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm actually just going to use my paper snips. I think I'll be most successful that way. I'm going to use this as a guide to cut this down to the right label size. There we go. I've got these kind of cool tabs that I can use on something else. And I've got a label size that's more appropriate for my card front. And then I can either go in there and do a heat embossed sentiment, or I can just do a thanks die cut out of white, and then I don't need to have all like the embossing and everything. I can just do that with a piece of white paper. So let's do that. Put that on there. Everybody has lots of white scraps lying around, I'm sure. And there we go. We have our beautiful little thanks to pop on there. And so that I am actually going to do dimensionals for all of this because I have that strip of dimensionals that I had cut from before. I'm going to do a few more this time because I'm not working over top of a space. So I'm going to come in here, do that, do the K, and I'll probably do the N as well. So this is just the border of my dimensionals. Oops, I took both sides off of that. Yikes. Ouch. There we go. And let's do a tiny piece for our S as well. All right. Oops. Wasn't going to throw that out. I'll have to dig that out of my scraps. All right. So let's see, I think got 2 more backings to peel off. I'm going to put these onto my label first, and then I'm going to attach my label to my card. So I'm going to try and make that as straight as I can. There we go. So there's the thanks. And then I actually don't think that this needs to be popped up a second. Oh, maybe I will. And let's see, I just threw dimensionals into my garbage bin. There they are. I am just going to take the backing off of that last little piece, do that in the middle, and somewhere I have my, there they are. And I'll do one more on each end. There we go. And we will attach this. And let's try and center that. So thanks. There we go. And that is our final alternative. Now, I don't normally bling these up. However, I'm feeling like this card could really use this awesome new embellishment. These are the adhesive back textured dots. I'll just show those to you up close. They've got like little dimples in them. They're just awesome. And I am actually going to embellish this one. It totally doesn't need it, but they sure are sweet. And just the right color combo for this. So if you wanted that extra little step up, we've got those adhesive back textured dots to go along with that. And that's our final card for today. So that was 6 cards. You still have all the kit supplies to make another 2, 4, well, 5 cards. We've lost out on one of these. So I'm going to bring in all of these. Here we go. Those embellishments would look really nice on this card as well. And actually they'd go really well on that one as well. So there are my 3 alternative cards. And then we also have, let's see, scoot everything around. So 3 alternative cards, and then our 3 original cards from the kit. So much that you can make, and then we have all the materials to make more and more and more of these. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a little bit longer than my normal videos. Sorry, but it's such a great one. I'm going to have so much fun creating more of these and doing more great things. I have 6 masculine birthday cards I have to make for this month, so I think this kit is going to be the one I use, and I'm just going to sub in some happy birthday sentiments onto this. That will do a great job. All right, so thanks so much for joining. I will have like a list of extra supplies and stuff, and links to that add-on kit and everything posted on my blog later this afternoon. Got a few errands to run, and then I'm going to come home and write that blog post. So check that out. The other thing you can do is subscribe to my newsletter. I've put the link in the description of this video. Tomorrow, I will actually be sending out the video link to this replay, as well as there'll be all the supply list for any extra supplies that I use, like cardstock and cardstock ink and those embellishments I'll put into that email. So if you're not already subscribed to my newsletter, I don't send out very often. I usually just send out the replays with all the good details and everything, and I'll give you dimensions for things that I cut for my alternatives. So all of that will be in the email I'll send tomorrow. So if you're not already part of my list, you can join today and you'll get that email tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye.